Supporters of Brazil's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, are holding rallies across the country. Demonstrations are planned in more than 60 cities, including here in Rio de Janeiro. Bolsonaro is accused of plotting to overturn his election defeat in 2022. The demonstrators are calling for the charges against him to be dropped and for the judge overseeing the trial to be impeached. Bolsonaro himself cannot attend any of the rallies. Brazil's Supreme Court has placed him under house arrest at night and on weekends, while his case is before the court. And we can now bring in journalist João Pedro Soares in Rio de Janeiro. There he is. João, nationwide rallies in support of the ex-president. What are these protests about?
Supporters of President Bolsonaro are gathering today to claim for his absolution by Brazilian justice. They claim for amnesty for people who took part in the coup attempt of January 8th, 2023. So the supporters of Bolsonaro believe that he and his followers are under a political persecution in Brazil. And now with President Trump's support to this narrative, they are trying to use this favorable international context to push for this goal.
Is actually Donald Trump the one who triggered these protests then?
The political situation in Brazil is very polarized. It's not something new, but in the recent weeks, since President Trump announced new taxes to Brazilian products coming to the US, and Brazilian President Lula da Silva denied to accept an approach of surrendering to Trump's exigencies. So Trump imposed as a reason for the taxes he applied to Brazilian products that the Brazilian Supreme Court changes his understanding about ex-President Bolsonaro. So this made the whole situation much tense in the recent days with Brazilian president calling it a commercial war.
Now, the protests seem to be quite big. Why is Bolsonaro still so popular?
The protests are actually big, but not as big as we have already seen in previous protests when Bolsonaro's group was even stronger in Brazilian society. But he is actually very popular. The recent polls shows that Brazil's actual president, Lula da Silva, would still win against Bolsonaro or any of his followers. But Bolsonaro still represents a very strong conservative sector of Brazilian society among many evangelicals, also people who believe in this narrative that Brazilian's president Lula da Silva, together with the Supreme Court, wants to restrain political rights, although we observe that this is still very focused on this fraction of the society. So Bolsonaro represents many diffuse interests of Brazilian society that keep him strong. And although he's not able to participate in the next elections, there is a big expectation with the possibility of one of his sons taking place or the governor of São Paulo aligned with his group, for example.
The journalist João Pedro Soares in Rio de Janeiro there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.